Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up on the movie Little Women, simply because I need closure on it so I can move on to other things that I want to do. But I keep brooding about it in my mind, so I just want to put it out and then move on. So first of all, and I even wrote notes so I could keep on track here, make it short. I think I was wrong about Aunt March. I think maybe she was meaner. Maybe Meryl Streep did a good job. I mean, I think she did excellent acting, but I think maybe the characterization, rather, was more accurate than I gave it credit for. I think I just sort of didn't hone in on Aunt March very much. And so I didn't see her quite in that light. And maybe she was pushing the girls to marry for money, though I don't know if it was for saving the family. I mean, if you think about it, she had the wealth that could save the family, and she was being pretty close-fisted about it and using it sort of to manipulate. In a way, she's like perpetuating the problem, the oppression of women, because she's not being as generous as she could be, and she's so resentful about giving, and so then she's forcing the girls to marry for money. I don't know, but but maybe I was wrong about Aunt March. I think I could have not paid close enough attention, and maybe I sort of had my own characterization going on that wasn't reflected in the book, and so maybe the movie wasn't that far off the mark. So I'm willing to admit I could be wrong there. The second thing is, the more I thought about this movie, the more I thought how good it was. I mean, the filming was just beautiful. The cinematography was beautiful. I just have images of that house and the countryside, and skating on the river, and just so many of the scenes were just beautiful to watch. And I love the filming in the interior in their house. So it was a beautiful movie, and the actors were great. I mean, they really did a good job portraying their characters. So there was nothing. I don't have any issue with that. I think it was well done. The costumes too. I think Kate Howe talked about how much she loved the costumes, and I agree. I really think they did a good job there. And the more I thought about the ending, the more I thought it was really innovative and creative, going meta like that, and superimposing what really happened, or sort of what really happened, with the publishing of the book and Joe, and the story of Little Women itself. So that was really creative, and I think it was admirable. I don't know if it worked 100% for me, but I can really appreciate the effort. I think it was a brave and creative thing to do. The problems that I had with the movie specifically, and I could talk about this movie for days, I think, and maybe even go see it again, although I don't want to, because when I came home I was fighting a headache the whole rest of the day, because I just can't sit in dark theaters with a big movie. It just triggers migraines for me. So, and I've been struggling with migraines lately, so I'm not going to go see it again. I'm going to wait till it comes out, and then I can see it in the comfort of my own family room with the lights on, and I can pause it anytime I want to. But a couple of the things that bothered me that I'm going to mention here real quickly is the casting of Amy and Laurie. Both did excellent jobs portraying their characters. That's not it. It's just I physically wouldn't have cast them. I do think Laurie looked too, maybe I'm a mother, but he just looked too young to me, and Amy looked too mature, and they just didn't look right to me. They didn't look right together for me. So that could be personal to me. The other thing that could be personal to me is I just had trouble with all the flashbacks, because I couldn't quite keep up. And I am older, and I'm used to, I think the modern way to do things is a lot of quick cuts, and the story goes by very quickly, and that kind of that can be too much for me. And so that might have just colored my view of things just because of that aspect, because it just is not my preferred way of storytelling. And it was a lot. There was a lot of flashbacks going on. In fact, I was reading around about this, and I found a blog at Pathos called Love, Joy, Feminism, and it was whoever, I think her name was Libby Ann or something, wrote a post about her response to this movie. I thought she brought up a lot of really interesting points. I agreed with some of them I would quibble with, but I'm going to link it because I think it's a very good article to read. It's well worth reading. It's got a lot of good points. And she had trouble with she didn't think that the actresses aged up back and forth, that was confusing. And I think she even says that it felt like grown-ups pretending to be children. And I felt that, especially the scene where they're in the attic and they have the newspaper and they're going to let Lori into their club. They're going to vote on that. That to me felt like grown-ups dressed up as children acting out. So it felt forced to me. And she mentioned that as well. But I realize that the reason why I'm always going to have trouble with any adaptation of this book is that I have trouble with the book itself. As much as I love it, I love the characters, I love the relationships, I love how warm it is, I love how lively and how funny it is, how much humor. Louisa May Alcott just created this wonderful, charming world that I love. But in spite of that, I've always been disappointed. And I can't get past that flaw in the book. So it's not going to be remedied in a movie that has to compress everything and necessarily cut out nuance and that sort of thing. So no adaptation is ever going to, be 5 stars because the book itself has, I think, a fatal flaw to it, in spite of being so delightful and beloved. So that's never going to work. But also, one problem with this story is Amy again, because she's 12 or 13 when it starts out, and then she's supposed to be a young lady, maybe in 20 or something, and it's a big change. And they can't portray that accurately. They can't portray that in a believable way on film. It's too hard. And so that's always an issue, I think. But I think I'm just going to wind up with the one thing that still really bothers me. And the one thing that still really bothers me that I just can't get past is the fact that Jo can't decide to spend her life running a boys' school at Plumfield. It's got to be a boys' and girls' school. And I think it's because the script writer and the director kind of went too far in reimagining Jo. Because they associated her so much with Louisa May Alcott. We know Louisa May Alcott was believed in women's suffrage, right? She was an abolitionist. So we know that she, fought against the strictures that society put on women, right? We know that she wanted women to vote. She wanted women to be able to be educated. And so that comes out in Jo being such a tomboy and wanting to, throw off those strictures of that are on her behavior and dress and her aspirations. But at the same time, when you're reading the book or any other adaptation, there was no conflict with her then wanting to open a boys' school. It didn't seem inconsistent, whereas in this interpretation, she was so feminist that the idea that she would open up a school for boys just seemed inconsistent and illogical. And I think it's because there's been a shift in our view of feminism. And this is probably going to get me in trouble. And I already have somebody who likes to downvote my videos, which is just so weird. But, so, haters going to hate. What are you going to do? But I do think that there's a shift in feminism in that feminism initially was a way to acknowledge the oppression that was forced onto women because of their sex, that all the restrictions and the barriers put up, and they were these arbitrary things that shouldn't that weren't dignified, that didn't give women the dignity they were due. And they're due that dignity because by virtue of the fact that they're human. So all humans deserve dignity and respect. And society is unjust if it puts these undue rules or obstacles or hardships on them just by virtue of, their attributes of, what kind of human they are, whether they're a girl or a boy or what color their skin is or whatever. So that's unjust. And so initially feminism was about taking away those injustices and, giving everyone that equal dignity. And the same with abolitionism, right? That was, you shouldn't be a slave. Slavery was oppressive and unjust, and we should change society so that it's not allowed anymore, because it deprives humans of their dignity, of their rights, of their natural rights. So that's what feminism was. And so if that's your idea of feminism, that everyone is due this certain respect and dignity, there's no competition between Joe wanting to be a writer and not wanting to have to, not be overly concerned about being feminine in her behaviors or her dress, and her feeling maternal about street boys, urchins on the street who she would like to take in and give a good education and a secure home life so that they can grow up to be good adults one day, good men one day. In fact, they'll be less likely to be misogynist maybe. So there's no contradiction there. But because of this movie was so over the top feminist, that was a contradiction, because why would you aid the enemy, right? And so she couldn't say that because everything was seen in terms of overcoming this injustice against women, and that's what I didn't like. That was the part, because I feel like it changed Joe, that it couldn't be, because that vision of feminism couldn't be true to Joe, because Joe did want to open up a boys' school, and that's what happened at the end of the book. And at the end of the book, and then there were sequels afterwards where it's all about her running boys' schools. So to me, when your ideology makes it so you have to bend the facts to fit your ideology because the facts won't fit inside, then maybe you've sort of painted yourself into a corner, and that bothered me. That really bothered me. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say. Oh my gosh, it's 14 minutes already. I really was going to try and make it 10 minutes. Anyway, so I'm going to go off and read, and I'll come back after I've read something else or done something else rather than Little Women. Talk to you later. Bye.